Welcome back. You're watching Newsx. My name is Vineet. Every Indian should now forget that he is a Rajput, a Sikh or a Jat. He must remember that he is an Indian and he has every right in his country, but with certain duties. These are the words of the man on your screens, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, India's first Deputy Prime Minister, tasked with the integration of 562 princely states, today known as India. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was appointed by Pandit Nehru on the 1st of August 1947, a fortnight before independence, in a letter that called him the strongest pillar of the cabinet. Soon began the majorly uphill task for Mr. Patel, a process to integrate 562 princely states with the Indian Union. These states were littered all over the country. They varied in size from a state of the size of France to a state of about 4 square miles. The fate of 86 million people was also at stake. The states had been nursed by the British government to serve as bulwarks against the political unrest spreading to the rest of India, and had become bastions of reaction and autocracy. The three biggest challenges that were faced with regard to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Hyderabad and Junagadh. Let's start with the case of Kashmir now. The situation was complex due to Maharaja Hari Singh's ambition to remain independent. Nehru and Patel wanted the Maharaja to build a friendship with Abdullah while simultaneously ceding his state to the Indian Dominion. The Maharaja dithered on both these counts until the Pakistani tribesmen from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa invaded his state on the 22nd of October 1947 and marched towards Srinagar. Mountbatten's conversation with Jinnah on November 1st, 1947 revealed the involvement of Pakistan in this invasion. On 24th October, Maharaja Hari Singh appealed to India for military assistance, of course. An Indian Army officer present at a subsequent meeting of the Defence Committee in New Delhi on that day recounted Nehru's lingering hesitations about intervention. The officer noted that Nehru extensively discussed options involving the United Nations, Russia, Africa and various other considerations. However, Sardar Patel reached a breaking point and, losing his temper, confronted Nehru with a straightforward question. Jawaharlal, do you want Kashmir or do you want to give it away? Mr. Nehru promptly asserted, of course I want Kashmir. Without allowing further deliberation, Patel turned to the officer and declared, you have got your orders. This led to the Indian Army successfully intervening and expelling the Pakistani raiders till Mirpur. Menon was then flown to Jammu and Kashmir to advise the Maharaja about the government's view, and that's when the Maharaja finally signed the instrument of accession on the 26th of October, and Menon returned to Delhi with Mahajan. Let's now look at the story of Junagadh. It was ruled by Nawab Muhammad Mahabat Khanji III, whose family had ruled the state for 200 years and more. The Nawab decided that Junagadh should become part of Pakistan, much to the displeasure of many of the people in the state, an overwhelming majority of whom were Hindus, about 80%. The Nawab acceded to the Dominion of Pakistan on the 15th of August 1947 against the advice of Lord Mountbatten, the Governor General of India, arguing that Junagadh joined Pakistan by sea. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel offered Pakistan time to reverse its acceptance of the accession and to hold a plebiscite in Junagadh. Well, tensions were simmering against the Nawab's regime, and eventually Patel had to order for forcible annexation of Junagadh's 3 principalities. Junagadh state government, facing financial collapse and lacking forces with which to resist Indian forces, invited the government of India to take control. A plebiscite was conducted in December, in which approximately 99.95% of the people chose India over Pakistan. Now let's address the most complex issue of Hyderabad. Well, the Nizam of Hyderabad was adamant on remaining as independent state ruled by own government. Tasked with the integration of Indian states and kingdoms, Sardar Patel made his stand clear that Hyderabad has to merge with India. But the Nizam refused and did not want to sign this treaty. And after much intervention by Lord Mountbatten, a standstill agreement was signed between India and Hyderabad, according to which status quo will maintain for 1 year. And according to the agreement, Hyderabad will keep functioning as it was earlier, India cannot interfere in its matters unless there is a state of internal emergency. But Sardar Patel was relentless in his pursuit of making Hyderabad part of India, and he kept pushing for more from his side. Sardar Patel very clearly told Liak Ali, Nizam's representative in Delhi, that Hyderabad has to be part of India like all other kingdoms. He sternly said that India will never agree for an independent Hyderabad. When Liak tried to disagree, Patel plainly told him there is no point in discussing this any further. He had realized that polite requests would not bear any fruit in this complicated case. During a meeting with Patel, Nizam's representative, Qasim Rizvi, and his arrogance threatened that he will wipe 1.2 crore Hindus in Hyderabad if the government of India tried to interfere with Hyderabad's functioning. The threat was dangerously real since Rizvi commanded an army of 2 lakh Razakars who were guerrilla militants and could wreak havoc in Hyderabad on his one signal. There seemed to be no way out of this deadlock other than using force. Sardar Patel was not willing to let 82,000 square kilometers of an area right in the middle of India remain a separate state. Allowing this would make it a permanent internal security threat for India. He termed it an ulcer in India's belly. In the early hours of 13 September 1948, under the code name Operation Polo, Indian troops started marching into Hyderabad. Within 100 hours, it was all over. On 17 September 1948, the Nizam went on air and announced a ceasefire. On 18 September 1948, the formal surrender ceremony was held at 4 p.m. in which the Hyderabad army, led by Major General Al-Adrus, surrendered to General Chaudhry, who was leading the Indian army. This was followed by a high-level meeting between Sardar Patel and Nizam Osman Ali Khan, in which the Nizam assured that in spite of all that has happened in the past, he shall now be loyal to the Indian Union and work in closest collaboration with the government of India for the benefit of his people. This is what Sardar Patel had to endure in his campaign to unite 562 princely states with the Union of India. As Prime Minister Modi today remembers him and takes the Ekta pledge of unity of India, it is important to understand why Sardar Patel left no stone unturned in the integration of India and why his idea of India needs to be protected. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Mr. Alok Mehta, Editorial Director of India News, Dr. Ravi Bhatt, historian, also with us on the show, and last but by no means the least, Mr. Himanshu Bhatt, Senior Journalist, also with us on the program. Welcome everyone. First of all, happy Diwali to all our guests. Mr. Mehta, I'll begin with you, sir. Sir, it's quite a story. We've all read how Sardar Patel ran from post to pillar to make sure that India stays united. And when you talk about, you reiterate, these tactics or these instruments of courage that he used to unite India, you're once again united in your thought of one India. It's his birthday today. It also happens to be Diwali today. Both the occasions are auspicious, for all Indians, regardless of their culture, creed, or religion. But Sardar Patel will always be remembered as that one person who did not give in to pressure and that did not give into any kind of pressure, and that's why we have a united India.
Vinayji, thank you very much, and happy Diwali to you and all our colleagues and all the audience which are watching us. I think for the country, the importance of Sardar Patel, when we talk about the Sardar Patel Jayanti or Gandhi Jayanti, Prime Minister Narendra Modi mentioned about this, how dangerous, because there was a conspiracy those days, how to divide everywhere. You see, the seaside in Junagadh, even Bhopal, you talked about the all history, but see, Bhopal Nawab, it was in the middle, but even then, they also wanted to Nawab and then revolted, then also he did. Then it's Hyderabad. In Kashmir now, united Kashmir, we want at least that the same POK, what they call Pakistan occupied Kashmir, should be again come to India because they are suffering. But at least people should know that how dangerous what Sardar Patel did. Morarji Desai, the former Prime Minister, in 77 he became the Prime Minister, and he mentioned in a speech, when I was covering at the time, I remember, He said, like Bismarck, the Sardar Patel did the same thing with Bismarck did Germany, not this unification of the World War, but before that, how the Germany unification was there in Bismarck, what he did, same thing. I think a historian, our guest also will talk about it. So you imagine, we in Gadgil, he also talked about what Sardar Patel did. Nobody could have done this. So I think that's why the present, because when you talk to urban Naxal, same thing, from Chhattisgarh to Maowadi and all the extremists were active, and even they are now in the cities. So the importance of today is to remind people that we should be more aware of how difficult it was to unite the country by Sardar Patel and our freedom fighters. And afterwards, even the Nehruji, but to some extent, you see, especially in the Jammu Kashmir, Pandit Nehru wanted, he delayed. That's why, which was unfortunate. And that's why one should remember that he wanted that Sheikh Abdullah will take over, then unification will be there. Ultimately, what happened? Because the Pakistan and everything in Mountbatten, they wanted the Kashmir should also go to Pakistan. These kind of conspiracy were there. Still the international forces and inside forces. That's why the remembering Sardar Patel is more important, because the conspiracy is still, because now if we are united, when we are a very strong country, now the other forces and inside forces, they will try to destroy our unity. So one should be remembered with a oath. That's why everywhere, even the army people in the Kutch area. So I think this is the right occasion to remind Sardar Patel and contribution to unite the country.
You're quite right about that, sir. And it's something which needs to be reiterated to the generations that perhaps cannot correctly recall what were some of the tribulations that Mr. Sardar Patel had to go through. Dr. Ravi Bhatt, how do you remember this difficult chapter in post-independence India?
See, I feel unfortunately, the Indians, they have failed to realize that they had a statesman, a politician among them, who was of international stature. That everyone, I'm simply going to rearrange the facts which almost everyone knows, but most of the people don't realize the importance of it. See, had it been anywhere else, the kind of a thing which Sardar Patel has done, you simply ask a person to leave his pension and he will not agree. A common pensioner in India, you ask him to leave your pension for the nation, they will not do it. Now a person with 562 to 565 princely state, which they were ruling for centuries, and Sardar Patel had convinced them that it is in the interest of nation as well as it is in the interest of the princes also, the rulers also, present rulers also, to integrate with India. Now we cannot convince even a single pensioner for anything. And imagine what kind of a political will he had, what kind of intelligence he had, and what kind of a strategy he had, that he has convinced 560 to 565 rulers to give up their kingdoms and integrate with the India. It's not easy, my dear friend. It's absolutely not easy. You show me a single thing in the world history, anywhere, that a single person has done it, and in such a short time. Give me that. And if you can't give me any other example, then that means that we Indians are not giving the proper due to Sardar Patel, which should have been given. The only saving grace is the statue which has been erected. That's great. And I think he should be part of the syllabus right from the class 4th, 5th to the higher level. We need more research. Number one, this is not easy. This is the international phenomena. This is an international event what he had done. Otherwise, small things, you can, every nation, in every campaign, in every event, you have certain heroes, certain, villains. but this is of international level, number one. Number two, what I like to say about Sardar Patel, which is a very inspiring thing, which is maybe out of context right now here. He did his matriculation at the age of 22. That was, until that time, he was not considered a very bright spark. But after that, the things started changing. And when things started changing, he had become a game changer at international level. Now, the third thing which I like to say is the strategy part. We all know this very well, how the Hyderabad integrated, how after the battle of 102 hours, we all know how Junagadh. But one lesser known fact is, which my earlier speaker, Mr. Mehta, I think has already mentioned about it, that when, Sardar Patel knew it very well, that the population of Kashmir is majority of the Muslim. The population, majority of the Hyderabad, 88% was of Hindus. And the same is, it was the almost Junagadh also. So his strategy was first to straight away focus more on Junagadh and on the Hyderabad. But most of the historians, they mistake it and they are ignorant about it. Most of the historians, they think that Sardar Patel was reluctant. He was not interested in taking Kashmir because the Kashmir was populated, the percentage of Muslims was more there. But no, it is not true. That is, what he did is, he kept even Nehru slightly in the dark. He did it, and he chalked out his strategy. He kept on planning for it in case we have to move to Kashmir for occupying it, how we are going to do it. Even the Britishers, they mentioned it, the kind of a planning was required to conquer back Kashmir or face the Pakistani tribesmen. That required months of planning, not the weeks of planning. But the moment, as earlier speaker has already said, that the Defense Committee meeting, when it was Sardar Patel was there, Jawaharlal Nehru was there, and Nehru was oscillating. He was a bit confused, or whatever terms you want to say, please do use. But he was not very decisive, and he was more thinking. He was lesser thinking in the interest of nation, and more he was thinking about the self-image, that what world will say to us, to me rather. And that was the time that Sardar Patel was already, had all the preparations, and he immediately said, Nehru, Jawaharlal, you want the Kashmir or not, or give it away? And he said, yes, of course I want. And as already speaker has already said this, and you have also said the same thing. And then he said to the army official that you got your orders and go. So here, the one thing, that his preparation for Kashmir, taking over the Kashmir, facing the Pakistan aggression, was already there, but no one knew about it. That was the best strategy, number one. Number two, the way he has convinced 562, 565 places. Number two, it was an international phenomena. And number fourth is that this man's personal journey was, extreme. At the age of 22, he was not a very ambitious person. And when he died at the age of 75, we all know he is an international figure. And what we can do is, at least the least we Indian government can do it, please, for the God's sake, make him the frontline hero. He is not being made a frontline hero. People do not know much about him. He should be studied. He should be the part of the syllabus at the school level. And the more research is required to be done about him. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Himanshu Bhatt. Full credit, to our previous panelists who have spoken elaborately on what the issue is. But one thing stood out is not only the historical context, but also the historical awareness that perhaps is lacking today when it comes to Sardar Patel. Would you concur?
Yes, I do. I do agree to that. It's something like this. Our history books taught us of the history of Nehru and Gandhi and nothing else. That is a problem. Let me not mince my words and, let me tell you very, very clearly. If nothing else, Sardar was a fierce nationalist. United we stand, divided we fall. When everyone says that, everybody appreciates it. But Sardar made that into a reality for India. And it's very relevant even today. When a chief minister of Uttar Pradesh goes somewhere and says, "Battoge to kattoge," in a layman's language, this is united we stand, divided we fall. In 75 years, that is the significance of Sardar. Unity. And unity in diversity, that's what he taught. He was called an Iron Man. Everybody talked of an incident of history on Kashmir. But just imagine, had our Chacha Nehru not taken that problem to UN, what would have been with the Kashmir? We are still trying to solve Kashmir, right? That's why I said I'll not mince my words. We are trying to solve Kashmir still because we took it to UNO. Unfortunate for us that Sardar did not live long after independence. I wish he also lived as much as Chacha Nehru did, or at least 10 years after independence. Things would have been much more different. So putting it into context of today, the significance of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, yes, we have not done justice to him by not making him a regular feature in our textbooks, which we need to do, that's all right. But then we have to understand and imbibe his qualities, his fierce determination. That fierce determination led to a nationalism which Bharat wants to see today if it wants to progress. Sardar knew at that time that if we are united, this is what we can do. Sardar knew how to deal with those, small internal threats. Today we are talking of internal threats. He had that internal threat of 562 people. Some came down easily, some did not. But he dealt with them. So the history, the true history, I would say, not history. Sorry, sir. True history needs to be learned. And in that, the tallest figure has to be Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Because he is the one who unified India. Yeah, maybe Bapu and Chacha Nehru got us the independence. But who unified India? It was this gentleman, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And then the constitutional framework, the importance of advocate Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. That also we must realize. And that's why I say, united we stand, divided we fall. Well, not everyone like me, commoner, will understand that. Because that was British English. In Bharat, we understand battoge to kattoge.
All right, sir. We've run out of time, but appreciate all the inputs that all our guests gave on this very important and prominent day. We take a short break. We'll be back with more.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.